I'm Runa Khan, and 12 years ago, I started what would be kind of like the love of my life, which is my organization Friendship. And this was in Bangladesh. I'm today 55 years old. And I think besides my family, my husband, my children, my parents, this has been the focus of my life for the last 12 years. When you are in a life in which you are living in a bubble, and then suddenly the bubble breaks around you, and you see exposed around you this melee of 160 million people, and you see for the first time in your life, you not only see, but you start realizing for the first time in your life that these people have as much right to the country as you and I have. You know, people that I have met, the people that I see daily. You realize that they are going without meals, sometimes for days on end. You see the children are being brought up without having a hope for the future. You know, it's what you feel is, I think the first thing I felt was anger, deep anger, that why there was no justice in this. And that deep anger led me to feel that I have made a realization that I can do something. And because I can do something, it gave me a responsibility to do something. I was responsible for it. And I think it is out of that anger and realization that I created Friendship, my organization in Bangladesh. And it is through them that I try to reach not only as many people as possible, but try to reach the people with quality and trust, dependability in their life, for their life. You are as rich as you can do without, you know. If you have millions and you still crave and crave for things, you are poor. You have some and you're happy. You're satisfied. You're content. You're rich. Then there is poverty on one side when you're suffering. You look at it another way. You look at poverty in another way. When you are suffering, and you cannot ease that suffering, and there's possibility of easing that suffering, you are poor. On the other side, when you are hopeless, you do not have hope for tomorrow. That is poverty. It's not always food in your stomach. It's not always that you don't have enough. It's not always material things. It is your inner cravings or your inner needs which create the poverty. I want to see a world where there is no questions of a woman's right. The question doesn't exist. Men have their right, women have their right. They are equal partners, and we do not have to bring up the issue of what you think about women liberation or women movements. That is the world I want to see. There is nothing in my life for which I would change my position with anyone else. You know, okay, it was a choice that I did not choose to make money. It was a choice that I chose to work in a way which involved 24 hours of work sometimes. It was a choice. But this choice, that every day of my work, when you attribute it and you see what it brings to people, there is no going back. There is no way I would change my life with anyone in this world. Because every time I see a child, you know, who gets hope in his life, every time I see a child who was blind and who can see, a child or a woman, you know, who was suffering, ostracized by society, and half an hour of our intervention for an operation of fistula can bring back her whole life to her. You tell me, when you are in a position to create things like this and do things like this, how can you change those moments for anything else in your life? Nothing. So I am so deeply grateful that I am able to do something like this. And I got the opportunity to, and I got the opportunity to do something like this. My message for the leaders of the world today would be to deal with life, humanity, empathetically. If you need to send out people to war, think of how you would be feeling if you were sending out your own children to war. If you were going to stop healthcare systems, think of what would happen if your own child was needing that healthcare and was not getting access to it or to education. Love them and think empathetically.